I didn't plan on recording this video, but I just got done coaching 40 SDRs who are working for 40 different small business owners. And I can't help but observe that there are a handful of things that help some SDRs get set up to absolutely crush it and help business owners scale and grow the way that they want, and set other SDRs up to just get crushed. And it ends up being a waste of their time and the business owners. If you are a business owner and you are thinking about hiring an SDR, please, for the love of God, take a few minutes to watch this video so that you don't waste your time, your money, and frankly, the time and experience of an SDR. Now, the first thing that I see that business owners are doing with SDRs that sets them up for failure is just not hiring the right people. It's like the business owner determines, you know what, we need an SDR, we need to go generate some leads. I don't want to make these calls. I don't have somebody else to make these calls. So I'm going to get an SDR, I'm going to have them make these calls. They put out an ad, or they, call up some agency, or they go offshore and they say, yep, that'll do. There's no real interview process. There's no science behind it. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't know the experience they're looking for. They don't know the skill set they're looking for. They don't know the characteristics of the person that they're looking for. They just basically say, hey, that person speaks English and that person can talk and that person can read a script. Cool, you're set. Jump in the seat. And then they're surprised that weeks later, months later, this person isn't a good fit. So they go out to replace that person. Hey, you're fired. You're not the right person for the job. Let me do the exact same thing that I just did that didn't help me find the right person the first time. Let me repeat that whole process. And then I'm going to have them come in the seat. They're not going to work. And I'm going to determine, you know what, that strategy just doesn't work for us. And that's not the case. It's a matter of getting the right people in the right seat at every level in an organization. That means from the SDR to the salesperson, to the account manager, to everything else that you have. It matters at every level. You can't just throw bodies at any particular problem. You've got to be intentional with who you're looking for, what skill set you're looking for, what personality characteristics or what strengths and experience they need to bring to the table. And if you don't take the time to do that on the front end, you are setting your SDR and frankly, your business up for failure. Which leads me to the second thing, which is I see business owners hire people and just expect them to just figure it out. Like, hey, hired you. It's your job to figure out our industry, our product, our unique selling proposition. It's your job to come up with scripting. It's your job to figure out the tech. It's your job to on-ramp yourself. And frankly, that's just lazy sales management. Take the time to build a playbook that says, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is who we're targeting. This is why we're different. This is why it matters. This is a script you should be using. These are the systems that you should be using. This is the data that you're going to be calling. This is what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. If you can't paint a week in the life picture for your new SDR, you're absolutely setting them up for failure. Okay, now the third thing that I see, which is along the same lines, is you've got to have the right systems in place. If you are not putting the right systems in place from day one with your new SDR, you are making them less efficient, and they're less efficient at growing your business, which means it is costing you money. If you hire an SDR and you hand them the virtual version of a phone book and say, start calling, and you've got to figure out how to take notes, you've got to figure out how to track people, you've got to figure out when to schedule your next call, you've got to remember to do all these things, you've got to put it in a calendar manually. First of all, you're going to miss opportunities because you're asking somebody to track something manually that shouldn't be tracked. And a lot of things will simply slip through the cracks. Secondly, you're setting yourself up for high turnover because, believe it or not, the SDR market right now is highly competitive. There's another company somewhere that wants your good SDR, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? We have a CRM, we have automation, we have systems. You know what that means? You can actually come in here, sit down, and focus on selling more and not jacking around with our broken, archaic, or manual systems. Okay, so you want to set them up the right way, both to help you sell more and to help you retain more, which, by the way, helps you sell more. Now, the fourth thing is you want good data to put in that system. On this call that we were on, we've got people that have literally lists of 20 per week, and they're asking people to make 100 phone calls a day. Go figure. About 3 to 4 calls per lead usually shows that you've worked your list. That means with 20 leads at 80 calls, less than 1 day's worth of work, they have worked your list and probably pissed off a lot of people in the process. So you've got to ensure that you're giving your SDRs a sufficient volume of targets to go after, whether that's putting them in your system as leads or giving them targets to actually go after and get those leads. If you're putting leads into a CRM for your SDR, then work to make sure that list is clean. Like, the last thing you want is somebody making 150 phone calls a day and 75 of them are to bad data, wrong numbers, like disconnects. It's a waste of time. So get a list cleaning service, have somebody clean that list before them, or have your SDRs block time to go through and clean that list so that when they are calling, when they are selling, when they are focused on helping you get results, that is all they're focused on. You don't want them cleaning a list as they go through because it slows down everything and there's a lot of context switching. And then fifth and last is you shouldn't expect your SDRs or any salesperson in your sales team to just run on autopilot. Are you running daily huddles with your SDRs? Are you having a weekly meeting? Are you looking at the reports? Are you looking at the results? Are you listening to calls? Are you coaching? Are you training? Are you being a sales manager? And if you're not doing the basics of sales management, like coaching, reviewing numbers, giving feedback, and helping them improve, then you are doing both them and yourself a huge disservice. I've led sales teams for more than 15 years. I can tell you firsthand how big of a difference it makes when you invest just a little bit of time, that the best practices are being followed, that you understand the data, that you're troubleshooting when there's not results, and that you're coaching and people know that there's some accountability. And if you're not prepared to take the time to hire the right person, to give them an on-ramp, to give them the systems, to give them good data, and to help coach them, then don't make the hire. And if you're an SDR who's doing interviews, go ahead and take those same 5 things and ask the person interviewing you how they're addressing them. Because if they're not, you should run like hell. It's a red flag, and you want somebody out of the gates that's going to help you crush it as an SDR so that you can take the next step and the next step and the next step. And if you fall flat at the beginning, it's going to make it tougher as time goes on. Hope it helps. And if you have other questions on how to hire a good SDR in your business, go ahead and drop them below. I'll do my best to respond and get you an answer.